How do you start a coffee shop? Hello, my name is Nate Jones, and this is How To Business, where I tell you how you can start businesses and scale them up. And today I'm going to tell you how you can scale a coffee shop up year one to make $330,000 a year. Go check out my channel. I have a ton of videos on should you start certain businesses or should you not, which ones should you avoid, and I talk about entrepreneurship. And if you get value out of this, hit like and subscribe. So let's go ahead and start this. The first thing that I would do, I have 4 things that I would do if I was going to start a coffee shop within the next year. This is the 4 things that I would do when I was evaluating this. Number 1, I would know my personal financials. And what that means is different from other businesses, a coffee shop is going to require you to have some capital to put into it. And I was looking at national averages of how much it would really cost to start a coffee shop. I was looking low end, I was looking high end, and it's like anywhere from $80,000 to $300,000. Now obviously, I was looking somewhat in the middle, an average number, and I came up with $150,000. I think if you came up with a decent coffee shop, not the most luxurious in the world, but ones that is pretty good, that's gonna show a decent aesthetic inside, I was looking at about $150,000. And basically that would pay for your machines, your furniture, your build out, your coffee and food research, maybe going and trying some, and your all other stuff like your insurance, other fees, and your security deposit for your lease. So if you don't have $150,000 laying around, that's fine. You can get a business loan. So a business loan would require about 25% down, which 25% down on $150,000 would be $37,500. So when I was thinking about this business, what would I be comfortable with basically putting aside to start a coffee shop if I wasn't paying all of it up front? I put about $50,000. So it's going to take about $37,500, but I would say set aside $50,000 because there's going to be some unforeseen costs here. So you got to know your personal financials. You got to know, is $50,000 a lot of money for you, or is it just kind of a drop in the bucket? You got to know, because you don't want to start this business and go broke betting on this one thing. There's certain things you want to bet on, but I would say when it comes to business, you want to have very informed decisions and not throw everything at one thing. So number 2, after you know that this will work for you financially, number 2, think of all the ways in which it will fail. This is what me and my wife do before we started any business. Before we started one of our most successful businesses, we decided that we weren't going to start it. We tore it down and said, oh, it's not going to work because of this, this, and this, and we tore it down, and then we came back to it a month or 2 later and we're like, you know what, I think we can address some of those things. So what I'm trying to tell you is make sure you're the biggest critic about this business you're going to start. So for a coffee shop, I was thinking, what are all the ways in which a coffee shop can fail? Number 1, you don't have enough sales. It's not that you don't have a good location. It's not that you don't have a good or a bad, you don't have a bad product. It's not because you don't have money. It's just you're just not getting sales. So what happened is you failed on having a sales strategy. You failed on getting your product out in the community, letting people know that you're a coffee shop now. So the grand opening, showing up at festivals, getting the word out, having a marketing sales strategy is something that you need to have. I always say the most important thing in business is having a strategy in which how you're going to bring money in. And in a business as a destination, like a coffee shop or a retail location, you have to get people to know where it is. For them to say, hey, let's meet for coffee. Well, there's a new coffee shop. They have to know that. You have to show up on Google, you have to show up on all these places and show up locally and work so hard at the beginning just to get everybody to know where your coffee shop is. Then eventually everybody knows and it's way easier. But the first 6 months is going to be the hardest in this business, just like any other business. Another thing in which it could fail is you could have a bad location. So essentially that you have a good product, you have a sales strategy, but nobody really wants to come to your coffee shop because it's not in a good location. It's not convenient. It's not in town. Maybe it's out of town. Maybe it's not just aesthetically nice. It's an old building or something. It's just a bad location. And I'll talk about this in a second on how you can find a good location for a coffee shop. But the third thing here is you have a bad product. You didn't do enough research. You just said, I'm going to use normal coffee beans or whatever. You didn't taste it. You didn't get good at making coffee. You don't know how to make the frou-frou drinks that everybody likes. and you got to get good at what you're doing. If you have a bad product, you can be great at sales, you can have everything, but eventually the consumer will find out that you have a bad product. And if the consumer finds out that you have a bad product, you will go out of business faster than anything else. So make sure you do your research on how to make your product, your coffee, the best it can be. And then the last thing here is running out of money. And this is a result of not doing a pro forma calculation. When I say pro forma, it's a real fancy word for saying, hey, project your next 12 months in business. Run an analysis, which essentially means what's going to be my average monthly income conservatively. Don't go over the board and say, we're going to crush it. No, conservatively, what are going to be my expenses? Add some unforeseen expenses in there. Run that thing for 12 months and say, worst case scenario, what if this happens? Are we planned for it? Run pro formas, which is you're constantly running simulations of what if this happens? What if that happens? What are we going to look like if our sales dip around December, or if they go up around then? Or you're running this pro forma analysis, which is a 12-month analysis that's going to actually help you figure out where your risks are financially. And if you get a business loan, a business is probably going to ask you for your pro forma financials or projected financials anyway, so this will probably be done. But you need to do this before you start your business so you can understand what's going to happen financially. The third thing here that I would look at is I would do a demand and opportunity analysis. And what that means is I'm going to drive around. I'm going to drive around my local community and I'm going to find a good spot. Where's the traffic flowing every day? Is it flowing out into a city and you're a suburb? Well, then you might want to be at a spot that's on the way for people to go to the highway so they stop by, get coffee on the way to work. Is the traffic going by and it's easy to get in and out? Because if you're at a coffee shop where it's really hard to get in and out, they're going to stop at a competitor that's really easy to get in and out. So make sure the traffic flow really makes sense. Would you stop at that location if you did not own it? That's a lot of people have the owner glasses on that they don't understand. Why are people not stopping at my location? Well, they're not stopping because you're not looking at it from their point of view. Also, this is what I've realized. The coffee shops in my area, I live more on the blue collar side of town, the working class. And then the other part of where we live is white collar. It's people work from home, very clerical type jobs. And when I go up there for meetings, the coffee shops are packed. Down here on the south side where I live, the coffee shops are not packed during the day. They're packed early morning and then it kind of clears out because people have to go somewhere else for work. They're not in that community. Our community is not a working community clerical wise. It is a blue collar community where people are doing construction jobs and stuff like that. So know where you live and understand that, hey, I want to be in the area where people are interacting with coffee shops. They may not be doing that in your community. You may have to go to another suburb, even though you want to have a 5-minute commute to your coffee shop. That may not be the best opportunity for you. Make sure there's good aesthetics inside your coffee shop. You want to make your coffee shop where people want to hang out, they want to have meetings, they want to drink their coffee, do their work. People like to have coffee shops because a lot of people work remotely now, so they want to make sure that they're in a good environment that induces creativity and a way for them to work hard. So here we go. We're going to go through number 4 here. I call this Know Your Possibilities, which basically means how much can you make year one? What is possible for you to make year one? So this is the $330,000 a year that I pitched at the beginning, how you're going to do it. So when we break down $330,000 a year, I did an analysis of a coffee shop, a cafe, and a bakery. So basically, you have some food products that you're able to throw in there with the coffee. Excuse me. So $330,000 a year is $27,500 a month. I always break everything down by days. I love day analysis because it makes you feel like this is achievable. $27,500 a month, $6,875 a week boils down to, if you're open 7 days a week, which you should be year one, $982 a day. And I looked up what's the average sale at a coffee shop. When somebody interacts with a coffee shop, what's the average sale? The average sale is $6 a sale at a high-end coffee shop or a decent coffee shop. So $6 a day, that's 163 sales. At $6 a day, 163 sales would put you at $982 a day. So I would say if you're doing 163 sales, you need to see at least 200 people. So you need to have a location, a coffee shop that's having 200 people interact with that shop every day. So when you do your analysis, your location analysis, are there 200 cars driving by? If there's not, then you're not going to hit these numbers. So you need to have enough people that are coming in, interacting with your coffee shop, hit that 200 a day, and then you should be able to convert at least 163, if not all of them. Maybe some people come in for meetings, they don't get a coffee, but they sit with somebody who does. So you're not going to convert everybody, but hey, you need at least 200 people coming in here. Your expected profit, when I started doing some analysis of profit, in my opinion, the only thing that matters is profit. I don't care if you do 300,000 a year or 200,000 a year. If the profit's the same, you might as well do 200,000 a year. So expected profit here, if you have employees, I would say you're going to be around 50 to 75,000 in profit, which if we go back to the personal finance number 1 section, the most you had to put down for this business is $37,500, and then year 1 you got a return between $50,000 to $75,000. That's a pretty good return. That means you got your money back and you made a little bit of money. That means your business that you built is paying for your loan and paying that loan back and cash flowing. So 37,000 down, you're probably going to break even after your monthly loan payments. You're probably going to make 10 to 15 grand year 1 on this. If you did not have employees and you were running that business every day, I would think that you would do around 75 to 125,000. So if you were your main employee, you could probably really scale it up, and because you wouldn't have the employee expense. So I would say around 100, 125, which would put you at a really good profit level after the loan of probably about $75,000. So pretty profitable business, and every year that you're in business, you're going to continue to grow. The one thing I don't like about this business is the scalability of it. I think you're going to have to add another shop on another part of town, similar to the Starbucks model, because your coffee shop is going to have a ceiling, meaning that in your community, only so many people are going to go to that coffee shop, and then eventually the doors are not going to be busting out of it. There is a ceiling. So you have to, ask yourself, run the pro forma. In 10 years, my coffee shop's doing really good. Am I okay with that money? What is my strategy to add another location if I want to continue to scale out and build my coffee shop? So, but yeah, I think this is a good business. If I were to review this business, I probably will I'll do a should you start this business. I usually give it a score between 1 and 10. Anything over 8 is a business I would start. I would probably give it an 8.3, because you can sell this business. You can sell your coffee shop at the end of it, because if you have that people interacting with your coffee shop, they don't know you as the owner, they know the coffee shop. So if somebody can come in, protect that brand, and continue to build value, they can easily scale this coffee shop on new ownership. So hopefully you got value out of this. If you did, hit like and subscribe. Comment below. What are some other businesses you want me to review? What are some businesses you've thought about starting but just didn't know if you should? Comment below. Thank you.